Today I thought I'd do a little walk around of my favorite modifications that I've done on my 911 so far. Now, when I bought this car, it was pretty plain. It was a pretty basic 911, but I was okay with that because I knew I was going to make some changes to it anyways. And when I was looking for a car, I was really looking for the best car that I could find for the price. I was looking for a car that was, low mileage, well kept, had a good service history, no history of accidents or issues or anything like that. And I looked for this car for took me about a year to find this one actually. When I bought this car, it was just plain silver, but it was really well kept. It only had about 18,000 kilometers on it, which in mileage would be somewhere right around 11,000 miles. So, I mean, it was a really low mileage car and it looked it. I mean, it was in really great shape. So let's just have a look at some of the modifications that I've done so far and I'll tell you which ones are my favorite. I can tell you right now that all of the things that I've done to it so far are things that I have really liked. I liked how it's turned out. I like the way it looks and I'm pretty happy with it. So the first one is the rear wing. I'm going to talk about this one first because, to be honest, it's probably the modification that I've done that is my favorite so far. It's made, I think, maybe the most difference in the look of the car, and it's just the one that I like the most. So I grew up really lusting after the 930 964s with the whale tail. And to me, when I think of a Porsche, I always think of that classic silhouette of the 930 or the 964 with the whale tail on the back. And this is a wing that's by Olivier Jacquemond. It's made in France. He makes aero for Porsche and for Ferraris. And I think he just did a really good job of kind of capturing a modernized version of the whale tail. Another thing I really like about it is I love the air inlets. When I'm looking through my mirrors at the back, I see those air inlets. I think it just looks really good. And, on my drive to work, I can just really feel that extra downforce and added traction. I'm just kidding. I just like how it looks. But yeah, so that's probably my favorite modification. That's probably the thing I would be least likely to change back. Probably the most obvious modification that I've done so far is the satin black wrap. Now this happens to be a liquid wrap, so specifically it's Plasti Dip. And I really, really like how it turned out. I did it myself. It was pretty easy to do. I did it a couple of years ago, and it's actually the reason that I'm making this video now. Because I've had it on there for a couple of years, I'm thinking of just changing things up. So my car's not on the road right now. I put it away for the winter. And before it gets back on the road, I think I'm gonna peel it all down and put it back to silver. And then I'll probably do something else later. And while I did that, I got the decal that goes on the back of 911 GT3 and put it on the hood here. And I really like how that turned out too. I think it looks awesome. Probably the most common modification, I would say, that most people do to their cars, I'll look at next, and that's the wheels. So it came with the classic lobster claw, 19-inch lobster claws that are on the Carrera S. And then I put these 20-inch, they're Veronas by Luxury Wheels. I love the look of them. One of the things I really like about them is they have a really sort of three-dimensional kind of look to them, where it's not just sort of a flat dish, but they got a lot of dimension. I like how see-through they are, and that kind of brings me to the next thing that I did, and you can see that I have painted calipers there. A lot of people go with red. I'm not actually a huge fan of red. And yellow is another common color that people do. I thought I'd try something a little bit different. So I went with the lime green. I think it looks really good. So that's another mod that I've done. And then there's just a bunch of small things that I did as well. So you can see, normal stuff like the windows are tinted. I put European spec side markers on there. So instead of the amber colored side markers, I've got clear. And that's pretty much most of the stuff that I've done. You can see that pretty much everything I've done is really cosmetic stuff. Not that I have anything against performance modifications or anything like that, but I definitely like to focus more on how the car looks, that kind of thing, as opposed to doing performance mods. Actually, that might be a good question to ask you guys. Tell me in the comments, what types of modifications do you like the best? Do you tend to like performance modifications? Do you tend to like modifications that change the look of the car, kind of make it your own, like I do? Like, just to let you know, I love, for example, the RWB Porsches. I think they look awesome. I'm not sure I would want one myself. It's a little extreme for a car that I would drive on a daily basis, but I definitely love the way they look. I like sort of like Liberty Walk, the Lambos and Ferraris and stuff that they do. And I think that's kind of an important thing to talk about, actually, is remember that when you're doing modifications, you should be doing modifications that you like. You don't really have to justify them to anyone else. I mean, it's your car. I can guarantee you one thing. Regardless of what you do to your car, or if you do anything at all, there will be people who love it. There will be people who hate it. So obviously the most important thing is modify your car the way that you want it. Make sure that you like it. As long as you like it, then that's all that really matters. So, like I said, I'm very happy with the mods that I've done. I think they look good. I like the way they've turned out. And I kind of use a rule of thumb when I'm doing anything to my car. And one of them is, everything that I've done to my car is perfectly reversible and easily reversible. So I have all the components. If I wanted the rear wing back to the OEM retractable wing, I can just take that wing off and put the standard wing on and put it right back to normal. One of the reasons I love to use Plastidip is, one, I think it looks great, but also it is completely reversible as well. So like I said, I Plastidip this car a couple of years ago. All that time now, the paint's been protected. I think it looks awesome, but in the next week or so, I'm gonna start peeling it off and it'll be right back to normal. I have the original rims, I can put those right back on. I've got the original side markers and so on and so forth. So nothing I've done is permanent. I haven't cut into anything or drilled into anything. Not that I think there's anything wrong with that either, actually. But for me, I like things that, I like the way they look. I try to do things that wouldn't decrease the performance of the car. And I do tend to try to do things that, if I change my mind or want to go back, things that are pretty reversible. So hopefully this video has given you some ideas of things that you either might like to do, or maybe I've confirmed some things that you definitely don't want to do. Either way, if you found this video helpful at all, like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.